WBRC Fox 6 News.
Well, welcome back in. We are joined on the floor right now by Alabama Congressman Gary Palmer. Thank you for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Guest today.
Glad to be here.
We know that you're going to Washington very soon because we're about 48 hours away from Donald Trump's inauguration. What's your read on the transition, how he's handled things so far, and what have you seen him do to bring folks together?
Well, first of all, on the transition, looking at the people that he's nominated for the various cabinet positions, I think it's a very impressive list. And it's not retreads. And a lot of times when you have a new administration come in, it's old familiar names that get slotted in these positions. But there are a lot of people that have not been in Washington. They're not, I guess you could say they haven't been part of the problem. But I'm very optimistic that we're going to be able to get a lot of things done. So I've been pretty impressed with these nominees. I know some of them pretty well, and I'm looking forward to working with them.
What about bringing people together? How's he doing on that?
Well, I think it becomes a little more difficult with the Twitter issue, but I do think that Trump has a genuine interest in trying to bring people together. But he is not the kind of guy that will take insults. He's not the type of guy that lets things slide. He addresses them directly, and in some ways that's refreshing, and to a certain extent it's a little bit unsettling. But I do think he has a genuine desire for the entire country to prosper, for us to have an opportunity for people to come together. And as much as I can help facilitate that and be a part of that, I want to do that. And I think that's true of my colleagues in Congress.
Let's talk about moving forward, particularly when you're talking about the intelligence community who are serving our nation's security. This president-elect seems to suggest that he does not trust the information, the intel coming from the intelligence community.
Well, I don't know if he doesn't trust the intelligence coming from that part of the government, but I do think that there's some issues with things that have been leaked. The dossiers that they've talked about from Russia have been known about for months, and there was no way anybody could validate them, and they were dismissed months ago, but they leaked that out. Someone clearly leaked it.
But you
which
believe Russia did the hacking based on that report?
Well, there's no question that we were hacked by the Russians, but I don't think it had any impact on the election. And the thing that doesn't get talked about here is that with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, her personal server, the intelligence community is convinced that she was hacked. And you have to wonder how much exposure that created for the DNC or for Podesta or others who were receiving emails downstream from her that may have opened the door for hacking. But there's no question Russia hacked the DNC.
I want to ask you about something that's particularly important to a lot of folks in Alabama, where we're facing a massive Medicaid shortage, so much so that they're thinking about calling in a special session to deal with this. And Alabama was one of the states that said we don't want the Medicaid expansion under the Affordable Care Act. Now there's been a vote to repeal, which you took part in. And what do you see as the best option to make sure that Alabama stays insured, or more Alabama folks get insured?
Well, first of all, people are not going to lose their health insurance under the repeal of Obamacare. This is not going to be the votes today and tomorrow. Everybody's out of the insurance market. I believe that we will phase this in. I think it's going to take 2 to 3 years to get us.
What are we phasing?
We'll phase into a more market-based healthcare system.
You've seen it? You've seen the plan for it?
There's a number of options out there. And here's the thing. I worked in a think tank for 25 years. I'm part of a national network of state-based think tanks, which I helped found. I was on the founding board. And the day Obamacare was passed, organizations began working on solutions. So we know how to fix this. And if there's anything that I think that can be said about Obamacare, and from my perspective in a positive light, is it opened the door for covering people with pre-existing conditions. It gave us the option to cover adult children through age 26, but it also, and this is very important, it showed us what doesn't work. And the thing that people have got to understand is that Obamacare, on the path it's on right now, is going to collapse. And so I think we've learned what doesn't work. and we know how to fix it.
It needs some fine-tuning then.
No, it doesn't need fine-tuning. It needs to be replaced.
Cleaned up, sure.
We need to take off the mandates off employers so that there's companies can hire people. You know, one of the mandates was if you went over 50 employees, you were subject to mandates. Well, people stopped hiring at 49. If you worked 30 hours, you were subject to mandates. So they cut people to 29 hours. We've got to take all of that out, open up the insurance markets, allow people to own their insurance, buy across state lines, and create more products for them. And then at the same time, create a safety net so that we don't leave anybody out, and we can do that.
So maybe fine-tuning was the wrong word, but we've got a lot of work to do, and we really appreciate you coming in to share a little bit with us about what you've been doing, and we wish you a safe travels to D.C. for the inauguration.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being so accessible.
Thank you, Congressman.